Good morning. I'd like to begin this month's meeting of the Somerville Tree Protection Board. And the first order of business is I'd like to introduce Lori Miller as our newest member. Lori comes to us with a large amount of professional experience, including in biological sciences. We're happy to have you aboard.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
The next agenda item is to approve or question the minutes from last month's meeting. Any
Move to
questions?
approve. I'll second it.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The first item today is 142 Amen Court. Mr. Cutthrow. We most all were there, so we know the situation, and I will say for the beginning of the day, we got started on a nice taxonomic discussion of one of those two trees. Thanks to David. But understand the situation, two very healthy trees. What thoughts does anyone have?
I concur that they're both very healthy trees. Certainly the excuse me, they're big trees and they have a relatively close proximity to the home. But they looked healthy. I didn't see a lot of dead wood. I think with there will always be a problem with pine straw falling on the roof, but that's a maintenance issue in my mind that many of us who live in Somerville have to deal with. I think that if those trees are monitored and just watching, and so that in the event they do start to decline, the applicant could reapply for removal, but I just don't see any need for removing those trees at this point in time.
David?
I agree with Danny, and I like Justin's assessment. That is a relatively new construction, and I kind of feel like the trees have been there and they've not grown bigger in that spot. And they're probably not growing too vigorous right now. So I don't really see an issue with them.
You know, and the good news also is the lot next to it is very nicely wooded. So that will certainly act as a buffer against winds. And so that's a positive thing as well.
And I hope it stays that way. That may be dreaming, but it would be nice if that lot stayed the way it was. Again, a very large amount of protection. And also contains pine trees as issues could happen. And but this is what we live with here. And I think I tried to make clear that we really, if there isn't a great necessity, we really are compelled to save as many trees as we can, barring obvious or even partially obvious risks to the property and the people there. Any other suggestions, thoughts?
Yeah, if you don't have any, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like a motion, I move that we deny approval to remove these two pine trees.
I'll second it. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. So for now, please leave the trees. We appreciate your time and understand the discussion. But if anything, just come on up and yeah, if it's not, I think as we discussed, if you don't remove any more than 20% of the active crown on the tree, plus or minus, yes.
May not be symmetric.
Cause only take the ones that are hanging over the roofs, so is that a problem?
I don't think so. It depends on how drastic it is, and everything has a degree, but I don't recall right now. Do you have any more upper pictures of the crown, Justin? Or is that about it?
I would suggest that I would just be careful how much you take off of the canopy. If you were to take all the limbs off of one side of the tree all the way up, you're definitely going to leave yourself in a more dangerous
Yeah.
situation than you think you're in. It will make the trees more dangerous the more you take off. But clear in,
Not very much.
it's not. And I mean, I think that's a pretty 20% number on a canopy of this size is probably a more aggressive approach than I would take personally. But I would suggest any branch that, the tips are within 16 feet of the roof. So branch tip to roof, if you're within 16 feet, I would prune those for sure. And that'll increase your wind flow between the canopy and the roof line, and it will help the needle accumulation on top of the shingles. All right.
Good suggestion.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. Next item is Helen Court. Helen Drive, excuse me. Is there a representative for Helen Drive? Right. So we've got a lengthy list. When it is like this, I'd like to break it up into segments so that we don't have to remember 1 through 17 or 14, whatever it is, when we come find time to decide one tree or another. So if I could group, the first group be trees 1 through 4. We have two of those trees have been approved at staff level. Number 1, an 18-inch sweet gum. And number 3, a 28-inch sweet gum. Does anybody recall any issues they have with those selections that they be not automatically accepted for removal?
I can accept those.
Huh?
I think those are good assessment.
Okay. Then that leaves tree 2, a 28 inches pine, 28-inch pine. And big tree. And a 22-inch sweet gum. It's number 2 and number 4. You see the picture again, Justin?
That's a 38-inch pine. Number
Okay.
2 is.
Yeah, that's right. That's a big tree. And number 4 was 21-inch sweet gum. That other than it just being there, I didn't see anything of any concern for removal. But please, anybody else throw in from your notes what you saw.
On number 4, I didn't see anything that's really moved me to warrant removal. It's grown in the middle of those, and I believe it had a little bit of a redirect, doesn't it? But nothing remarkable. I thought it was a decent tree, and I don't see need for removing it. And the same with the pine tree. The pine tree is
Oh.
is a big, healthy pine tree that I think should remain.
Okay. So if it's okay, I will do individual voting on each of these groups. I move that we approve the removal of tree number 1 and tree number 3.
No.
Okay. And
Second.
keep number 2 and number 4.
I second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next group is 5 through 8. There are 2 trees in that group. A 15-inch sweet gum and a 4-stem sweet gum, both of which were approved, number 7 and number 8. Does anybody have issue with approval or disapproval of number 7 or 8? I remember that distinctly, the 4-stem.
No, I concur with 7 and 8.
David,
I'm sorry.
that's all right, go ahead.
I agree with that.
Lori,
Those decisions.
question? Thoughts?
No questions, no. I agree.
I move that we approve the removal of trees 7 and 8. Actually, we haven't discussed 5 and 6, so I need to do that first. Number 5 was a 22-inch sweet gum. I have here that was remarkably healthy, had a decent crown.
Was it a decent crown? Do we have a picture? Because mine has a sparse canopy.
Yeah, it had uneven canopy was the notes towards the neighboring house. That was one close to the fence.
Is there
a picture of Okay.
the canopy?
It's slightly uneven canopy. That was one in the back of the lot that was kind of, had a slight lean over the neighboring property over the fence.
I had that switch with number 6. Sweet gum. Which is a very large 48-inch, right?
That would be it with that one right there.
Number 6.
6.
Number 6.
Yeah.
And it was a small cavity. It's obviously double stemmed, but I think, I felt comfortable leaving that tree. It wasn't in a huge area of risk. And it would have just taken out a massive portion of canopy in the yard.
Where is the cavity located? This is right there in the crotch area.
Hmm.
The cavity is located right in the, split there.
Where is it located?
It was insignificant, basically.
No, it was
Like right-
what, 6 inches deep.
There.
And once you got past a little bit of funky decay, it seemed very solid. Okay.
So it wasn't a cavity, it was just a buildup of organics on top of the bark.
No,
Kinda
there actually was, seemed to be a
happened.
bit of a cavity.
Something happened in the past, way in the past.
Or at least perhaps it was part of the growth, Nathaniel, but there was some sort of depression other than just the buildup of punky wood.
David, your thoughts?
So I have retaining 5, allowing for the removal of 5 but retaining 6.
How much, when you guys were out there, how much were you pulling out wood that was dead, or was it? I'm just trying to understand what the cavity looked like when.
It was basically insignificant.
Yeah, it was relatively insignificant, but there was let me see if think of a description. There was in a space that appeared to be a cup that might be 8 inches in diameter and 4 to 6 inches deep. That was perhaps filled with decayed wood that was wet. Once you got to the bottom of that cavity, it became very solid, if that describes it.
Okay,
David, had you?
so it is gonna keep decaying though.
I don't,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't,
maybe, but I'm not sure it's imminent.
other than that, it looked very healthy. It really was a beautiful tree,
Yes,
even though it was forked.
Yeah.
And I kind of, looking at all these, I kind of would maybe possibly lean towards removal of 5, but 6. It really looked good. That's something to kind of keep eye on, and particularly being
Yeah.
a sweet gum also.
Right.
If it was an oak, I'd be concerned, but kind of lean towards what Danny's thinking.
Okay. Justin, how did you feel about the cavity?
I agree with what Danny was saying. It was 6 inches deep. It was probed. It was a little bit punky at the, that 6 inches were, but it was definitely solid when, probed down in. It was probably had a circumference of 3 inches. It was a smaller cavity. No other significant signs of disease or decay on the tree. Healthy canopy, good canopy bigger. Could it expand potentially, but in the condition it's in now, it looked relatively healthy and had a minimal impact on the tree.
Does it look like there is healthy wood surrounding it, trying to compartmentalize the wound?
Not a whole lot of reaction wood, but there was some. It looked like there was, coat happening. It was compartmentalizing. So there is the chance that it is healing as much as possible.
And I don't know if this helps your thinking or not, Nathaniel, when I took my hiking stick and was able to bang down, I cleared some of the grass out and was able to bang down, and it sounded and felt solid. I don't know if that helps your thinking or not.
It does. I'm just thinking of, the terms of the lifespan of the tree.
Right.
Is it going to be a healthy part of the property, or is it going to be a risk to the property?
Well, it depends on how many years we're talking about. This thing was really healthy. You should
Yeah.
have seen the crown on it.
I saw it. I went by there this morning, but I didn't walk into the backyard.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So I did see the upper canopy of the tree.
Yeah, it takes up a giant space.
Yeah.
King of the hill.
Okay.
So back to the motion, move that, we keep get these numbers mixed up, keep 5 and 6 and allow removal of 7 and 8. 8 being the multi-stem.
Were we? Oh, that's right. Never mind.
I thought we recommended removal of 5 or.
I think we did, yeah.
Who did?
5 possibly could be removed, yeah.
So
Okay, the motion is amended. I didn't know where that came from. In my notes here, I say keep. And I basically casually explained why, but it's not a significant tree. There was just really nothing wrong with it, if I recall. So I'll amend the motion that we approve removal of 5, 6,
5, 7, and 8.
Yep.
And retain
5, 7,
6.
and 8, right? And 6 is the large sweet gum we leave alone.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So the last group is 9 through 13. Number 9 is there's 3 approved trees. Let's just get to them in the beginning here. 11, 12, and 13. 11 is the longleaf. It was right up along the side of the house, which unfortunately there was nothing wrong with really, except it was really, really close to the house. And it's something that we really think does present a risk in any number of ways. It's so close, if it kept growing in diameter, if it's swaying, it might even hit the, break the fascia on the roof. It was very close. It is very close. 2 sweet gums. Number 12 is 2 sweet gums. They were leaning. They almost fused together. But they were leaning over the house. And it was pretty dense right there. So 12 was approved at status level, as was the longleaf. And so was 13, a 20-inch sweet gum, which, as I recall, there was really nothing wrong with, but to remove the companion trees that are slam up next to it, the principle being you worry about it leaving a present for the neighbor to fall into their yard, because it has a slight lean, as I recall, which doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna fall. Is that a good recollection?
Yeah, that's the way I remember it.
I had trouble approving that in my mind because it was perfectly healthy and it is a sweet gum. So, and there is a large tree right across the fence in the neighbor's yard. Anybody other thoughts?
No, I concurred with the analysis that Justin had done, that I was willing to approve the removal of 11, 12, and 13.
David?
I'm in favor of that, Peter.
All right. Now, number 9 was a 24-inch water oak. It was rather healthy and didn't, as I saw it, didn't pose, nor did Justin, any kind of risk because of where it was. It's just that it was a nice, healthy water oak, what it was.
I agree.
Yeah, it really looked healthy. The lean that it's got is a growth lean. It's not a
Right.
physical lean from other damage. I think it's a healthy tree.
For a water oak, that's right. And lastly, we have a great big sweet gum. I don't mind saying it was a pretty magnificent sweet gum. It had its issues. It had surface roots. It had roots approaching the foundation. We saw some photos, but it was hard to discern what the damage was under the house or in the room adjacent. But there are arboricultural techniques to accomplish to save this tree that Danny, why don't you give a rundown on what you felt about that?
Well, I didn't, like you, I couldn't see where the tree roots were actually causing damage. And so I would, before I would consider removing for that, I'd need to see evidence of the damage. Or that that the roots were actually growing into or under the foundation. So I'd want to see that. So those roots can be exposed and we can see if they're going to cause damage or if they are indeed causing damage. And that tree is far enough away from the house that if need be, depending on the number of roots that might be offending, if indeed they are, a few roots could be pruned and root barrier installed. So I can't see I can't grant removal of that tree without some further investigation.
So y'all saw pictures up under the foundation, up under the house, and y'all weren't able to get access to take a firsthand look at that?
I couldn't tell. We're looking at the pictures and maybe I missed something. I couldn't tell what was going on. I don't know if anyone else did or not.
Yeah, there was some reference where roots had meshed into and grown within the wooden flooring while expanding the bricks foundation, but we couldn't see
No,
any pictures that
not on the
quantified
exterior.
that.
So, it sounds like, is there a possibility there could be a more further examination of the inside damage? The way I look at it, which may not be the way you look at it, is even if there was some damage from that tree, the source of that damage could be terminated immediately by what was just mentioned, cutting the roots that are challenging and putting a barrier in. The raised roots around the yard can be corrected with raising the grade, either with mulch or soil or a combination thereof. It's just, this is, Sweetgums want to do this a lot, unfortunately. But the tree is, standout principal component of the front yard. And, removal would just be, leave it naked, among other things. And it's, it showed no other signs, no other difficulties physiologically with itself. And so, but that's my opinion. If it were my tree, I would take it in stride with some, but that's 16 feet away from the house. That's a pretty good run, but I'm not gonna say you didn't see what you saw. And so if someone would have to look at that more closely. Is that something we want to do? Would you like us to do that?
Yeah, I mean, the roots on it are huge. They're like little cypress knees all over the yard.
I know, and they've been run over with a mower, which is not good either. You didn't do that. I know you just bought the house. But that situation can be corrected with raising the grade maybe just 2 or 3 inches of combination of things. But if the roots are challenging the foundation, the under of the house, there's ways to determine that physically, all of which are considerably less expensive than removing that tree. Not even considering the value of the tree that presents for the value of the lot. So,
You want a motion?
I'm left with the need, that's what the owner wants. I move then that we defer a judgment on tree number 10 and allow the removal of 11, 12, and 13, and also don't allow the removal of tree number 9 of water oak. And the deferring of tree number 10 is based on substantial evidence of damage to the house to be approved or appraised by our arborist, Justin,
Or a foundation specialist.
okay, or a foundation specialist.
I mean, if you can find some, real damage to the foundation of the home, that would fit that tree's removal into the ordinance.
That's the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. So a number of trees have been removed, a number of trees have stayed, and I hope you understand the reasons why we wanted them saved. It's a well-wooded lot. It's an attractive lot. It's been let to run wild over the years, and the removal that we have suggested, I think, will improve it, both in terms of risk and in terms of, sightfulness. I hope that satisfies. So you'll have to get in touch with Justin, or he can get in touch with you as far as getting a real close look at that, okay? All right. I did say motion passes, right? Oh, I didn't. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for telling me that. Is there any other items or thoughts or concern today about items on the agenda?
Well, I have a question for Justin. Justin, any idea when we're going to might reconvene to continue our ordinance discussions?
Yeah, let me touch base with Jesse and I'll get back to you on a date.
I'd love to keep moving, as I think we all would, on massaging the mitigation plans for the tree fund and try to make some recommendations, because more every day that goes by, we see applications where we could be making life easier for the applicant homeowners, but putting more trees in the ground in Somerville. So I'd love to follow that if we can.
Okay.
All right. Do I have a motion, or do I need to do it myself?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Uh,
Opposed? We are adjourned.